Hello, hello, and welcome to Third Shot Rants with Howard and Gina. I'm Gina. Hi, Howard.
Hi, Gina.
And we're two pickleball friends living in Chicago. Howard, where are we today?
Gina, we're at SPF. We're here to talk with Rich Green, the founder of SPF, the first pickleball club in Chicago. It's a great facility for players of all levels. It's also a fun space for people to hang out with their friends and to make new friends. Rich is going to tell us about his pickleball origin story and that of SPF's. He also has some exciting news about SPF to announce. Rich, welcome to Third Shot Rants.
Thanks, Howard. Appreciate it.
So glad you could join us. So I looked up your opening date for this interview, which I think was in late January of 2024. Does that sound about right?
That's right.
Yeah.
January 26th.
You've been such a fixture on the local pickleball scene that it seems like you've been around forever. So I was kind of shocked that it's only about a year and a half, but it's really great to have had your space around for people to play in. So, Rich, before we get into the show, maybe you can just give us some basics about SPF for our listeners.
Yeah, and thanks for the kind words. I have to tip my hat to you guys, right? This is so great for the Chicago pickleball community to have a podcast that's dedicated to the issues that are involving Chicago pickleball. So I know what it's like to take a leap, and you guys have done that. So thank you as well for making the time to profile our club and for the effort in this endeavor. It's really cool to kind of have a Chicago pickleball podcast. That hasn't existed. But yeah, SPF is a place that was very close to home for me. It originated out of my backyard. So my townhouse is about 5 feet away from SPF. I sometimes joke with people I have the shortest commute in pickleball, and I would probably wager on that.
That's amazing.
We're just really centered on bringing people together, and we do it through pickleball. So we have 9 pickleball courts, but we have 2 bars on site, a tap wall, large turf field, and just as of yesterday, a new restaurant, Honey Butter Beach Club. And so much of it is around this beautiful sport that we all love and how we can get all of Chicago to come in here and congregate, have fun, and celebrate the community that is spectacular around pickleball in Chicago itself. So we lean heavily on local partnerships like the Honey Butter team, Kikwetu Coffee. So the thing I like to brag most about is we have the best coffee in town. Kikwetu is a fantastic local Chicago coffee company, born in Kenya but made here in Chicago, and they are at farmers markets all around the city, but this is the only place you can get their coffee 24/7. So that just highlights what we tried to do is try to give a little taste of Chicago to everyone who kind of walks through here, whether they're a local or they're from out of town.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Because I'm assuming people are visiting from out of town. SPF is really centrally located to downtown, closest club. They're going to come here, and there's so much to offer. It's fun.
Yeah, for sure. So, Rich, I think we'd like to back up. We'll get back into SPF. We'd like to back up a little bit. We'd love to hear people's personal pickleball origin stories. So on the first episode of our Gina and I talked about ours and try to give people a little perspective on where we come from. So we'd love to hear about yours.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, as a kid, I played all sorts of sports. I was just that kind of kid who grew up playing everything: tennis, baseball, basketball, just kind of did it all. And it was hyper competitive kid. And so,
are you from the Chicago area?
No, I'm not. So I originally grew up in South Florida.
Okay.
And so I grew up in Fort Lauderdale area, Hollywood, Florida, and just played sports all the time. And then in college, really started playing more tennis and racquetball.
Oh wow! Okay,
so that became the sport that our friend group played, and that's actually tied to the origin story of SPF. And then I lived in New York. So I lived in New York from 2013 to 2020 and played squash. And squash was probably the game that I would say I was best at, in a lot of ways. And then, like a lot of people, the pandemic happens and it kind of uprooted people's lives. And so we moved to the Outer Banks of North Carolina for a year. And that is where my pickleball origin story starts. So there were athletic fields kind of located behind our apartment, and my son had just mentioned that he had learned pickleball in Kitty Hawk Elementary. And I was like, okay, what was that? I put two and two together. I was like, oh, that's the sport that is taking up all of our tennis courts, like behind our apartment complex. We went to check it out, played a little, and it was like, wow.
Was your first game with your son?
Yes.
Okay.
And my wife, and we had family down there, and it was like, wow, this is beautiful. One, all these courts that never get used are being used. Yeah, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. And this is the first racket sport that I've played since growing up playing that I can play with my 6-year-old, 7-year-old son. And it's interesting to, fast forward now, I guess, 4 years, almost 4 years to the date. And it's like so much of what we've built here at SPF is tied to that initial day of discovering that sport. We went to this place called the Outer Banks Brewing Station afterward, which was a bar and a place you could hang out outside and soak in this like beachy environment. And so that day that, really kind of put us on a course towards this moment in some way, because I will say it's, really kind of inspired. Even the beach shack idea here now with Honey Butter is rooted in that day of discovery in August of 21. And then we moved to Chicago in August of 20. July. We moved to Chicago in July of 21. Yeah, when we moved here. And what I quickly realized wasn't as easy to play. Yeah. One, we were kind of getting into a new routine. We were, like new to a city, didn't know a lot of people. We belonged to East Bank for a little while, and they kind of did their, open play sessions at various times, but it wasn't a priority. Went to Horner a couple of times to play, and Wells Park before they converted it to pickle, and you could play on the tennis courts there.
What was Horner like in those days?
It was pretty popular, I would say. Like, I mean, it's always been a fixture. I think it is the fixture of Chicago pickleball in a lot of ways. I don't want to, to mean any other great places to play, but it's the most grassroots, right? It is the place where, Malou and a bunch of other people took it on themselves to like coordinate a great community. I would, and do like fun events. And so that was, to me, like the first kind of Chicago needs a place, right? Like Chicago needs a place where it can come in and play. And so, for us, the journey to building this, came from a couple of, always has different moments. This space that we're in was originally built to be a grocery store for the community. It was called Treasure Island. And then right before the pandemic, a climbing gym took over and kind of renovated the whole space. I remember my wife and I, we came here for a week to try to find a place to live. We knew we were going to work here, and we weren't having much luck. And, like we had a flight on like Saturday, and an open house came up, and we made this turn. I remember seeing this building, like clear as day. I remember seeing this building. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And my son used to do climbing camps at Brooklyn Boulders. He's going to love that. And then, so then we brought him in here for like the first day off camp. Yeah. I was like, wow, this building's really cool. It's really special. It, has great ceiling heights. And when they went out of business in July of, I want to say 22, trying to make sure I get all my dates right. That's when it was like, okay, how do we activate this space in a way that kind of satisfies the need for a place to play pickleball indoors in Chicago?
Yeah, I remember how tough it was, right? Because, during when the weather's good, Horner's great and other places are great. But then when the weather turns, there just weren't really a lot of.
It was McFetridge
and then the Park sessions, which are on gym floors east sides, which are And I remember someone tried to do some sessions at Windy City Fieldhouse that you then took on later on. They just take down some lines, and it was kind of okay, but it was very, very ad hoc, right? And there weren't a lot of other options around. So
you had the first one, I guess, was that try to go more dedicated was like the schoolhouse that was like on Ontario, but that was on hardwood floors. Yeah. And things like that. But yeah, it was, I think, I think so much of this was rooted in being very close to the facility and being able to say, okay, the other moment that really had a lot to do with our origin story was a trip my wife and I took to Fort Worth, Texas. So I always like to give it credit. I think with any indoor pickleball facility, you're kind of borrowing from other experiences, non-pickleball that you see, and also, pickleball places that did exist in the early ones. And for us, it was a place called Courtside Kitchen in Fort Worth, Texas, that we saw just on a trip. And we're like, this place is magical.
Right. What kind of space is it?
It's all outdoor there. Okay. It's covered outdoor courts, and then they have a cool bar and pro shop as well, like an eatery kind of thing. And you just, you spend time in there and you were like, wow, this is like bringing so much joy to people. And like, if you can make your life about, bringing joy, that's really exciting. My background's not in running pickleball facilities or any sports management of facilities. I was a real estate lawyer operator for,
but maybe with a little bit of an entrepreneurial bent, maybe?
A little bit of an entrepreneurial, and then with good friends. I mean, I have two co-founders in this. They were guys who we played squash with, and they're not local to Chicago, but they also had rounded out our skill set, the skill set. So the three of us just starting in April of 23 just said, okay, we're going to go for it. We're going to try to do this. And, I think having partners that you have 25 plus years of trust and experience and know everyone's weaknesses and strengths, really helped this thing get built as quickly as it happened. Because we started in April, and then we were able to get the first phase of SPF open in January of 24.
Was it sort of intentional in the beginning? I know you sort of talked about just seeing the space, and it seemed like just the right space for you. But was it on your mind that this is kind of what you wanted to do, to develop a pickleball facility?
Yeah, I talk with a lot of people who want to open a pickleball facility, and they're always in the hunt for space, right? They are trying to find that perfect space. For me, it was the opposite, right? Like I had a job that I loved. I was doing it. And wasn't something that I was like, I need to do this. But then the space opened up, and then things started to I was like, this is so cool that this is coming together. There was on that one, I don't think for us, if it was right place, right time in terms of finding the space, I don't think it would have come to life if this place wasn't in my backyard. And I was just really familiar with the building itself, its layout, the amenities that were already existing in the building, and then some other financial aspects of this facility where I was like, this can happen, and it's worth spending time to make it happen. That's unique to I think our origin story for sure.
It's so interesting. I thought we were going to maybe talk about all these different spaces you looked at all over the city and deciding on this one, but no, it was waiting for SPF to arrive.
Yeah, and I think when you are so close to this community, my son goes to school, a half a block away. You're kind of like, okay, here's this game that we love. Probably to make the model work in the city, and that's something you're going to have to appeal to a mass consumer. At least that's always been my thought. And so it's how do you make this place more than just pickleball? How do you make this a place where the community, whether you're a pickleball player or not, wants to come in and spend time in here, celebrate big events in their lives? We're excited. We're hosting a couple of bar mitzvahs here, and shortly, we've hosted wedding, not weddings. That's the, but wedding rehearsal nights and post. There's just it's space that we wanted to create
So you're looking for the first wedding to be held here, right?
My wife's dream is to host a wedding here. So if you know anyone who's interested in making a pickleball wedding happen, please. She's like, I can't wait till a wedding's held in there. So
It's got to happen. There's so many people meeting on the pickleball courts, and this is going to be, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, for sure. What were the biggest challenges in terms of developing the space? Were there things that you didn't expect or things that, went better than you expected?
in terms of like the development of the actual space, there's always things that come up in construction, those things that we probably knew were, you never want to deal with it, but when you start marching down the road of developing this, those are coming. I think it happened relatively linear. Like we kind of like, okay, here are the steps that need to take, and we kind of just, it always felt like the thing that needed to happen next happened and kept setting us on this course to actually getting open. I mean, the challenges are always tied around making the space work. Anytime you're not building something from scratch or from the ground up, there are going to be concessions that you have to make to exist in an existing building. That's just, and so we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to get 9 courts in here in a way that like players from people who are just trying to experience the sport for the first time to players like Vivian who are here, like can still have a good time with players. And so that was a lot of focus and a lot of energy still. And I think will always be kind of a thing that we're always thinking about how we can improve on the existing real estate. Yeah, make it more of a player experience, like player-focused experience.
Have you always sort of had the mindset that this is going to be a very broad, kind of all levels, all players kind of experience?
It was really important to me personally, like kind of going back to that origin story. That's, to me, the beauty of the sport was that you could have 16 courts and have people of different playing ability and then have them communing in a way that like celebrated in a very like together way, right? And so like it was for Lincoln Park and what I wanted this place to be. It was always meant to be for everyone, and so that's something that we've always. What has happened is a lot of people are like, okay, what are you doing next, or like what are you thinking about doing next, and building another Lincoln Park or building like an SPF 2 or something like that never really, like, for me, I was always trying to figure out, okay, like, am I going to feel as much passion for 2.0 as I would for Lincoln Park when I am such a part of this community?
Interesting.
And so, but I also knew that we've built a great community. We've had so many players come through here and they evolve. The sport continues to evolve, which is like, something that I'm not sure when we first sat down, we were so mindful of, or it was like, or at least we weren't taking that into consideration when we were like, okay, here's the blueprint for what we want to build at Lincoln Park. Now the sport's changing. Players are playing more. They're getting more advanced. They're getting, they want more. And so it's like, well, I don't want that person to not want to play at SPF or want something else. And so like, how can we continue to grow our community outside of these walls without a 2.0? And so that's, something that we've really been focused on for a while now, trying to understand what that next step, where can we invest in our community more to grow the game of pickleball, to grow the playing options. You only have 9 courts, right? Like, and so there are times where we have to make a concession for, league nights one nights or events on other nights or open plays. And so we're really excited to kind of share that we're going to be adding more pickleball courts later this year and in 2026. We are actually building the city's first autonomous facility, and that's going to be called SPF All Day.
Wow.
All day, all night?
All day, all night. So you can come in, you can scan in and play. We're going to have 6 courts, 460 by 32 championship court dimension courts. That's going to be at 3800 North Milwaukee Avenue. And that, and we're actually building out something with our pros, Amir Hamzik and Martin Sanchev, to lead a SPF training academy. So really, I kind of look at this as we built a pickleball paradise. We want that next facility to be the player paradise. They're like the advanced play, like where you're pushing yourself from a development perspective.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
That's the goal with that project. It should open. Will definitely be open by the start of the year. Hopefully as early as November, but I think before 2026 we'll have that project, and we're really excited by that. And
that will still be, you still have organized sessions that people sign up for.
Yeah. So and I think we may be the first to kind of combine this entertainment pickleball facility with kind of a player focused facility as well. I don't know if anyone has really like mirrored those two, and part of that is because of our tech platform.
Tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Yeah, so when we started down the path of building Lincoln Park, like many facility operators, talked to all of the court management softwares that are out there, and we were one of the first to go with pod play. I think we were probably like the 3rd or 4th club that went with pod play, and lots of reasons why we thought that was the right fit. But pod play was built off of a company called Ping Pod, which you might be familiar with. There's a location on LaSalle Avenue. It's a ping pong place that you can scan in and play all day, all night, whenever you want to. You come in and you play, and you make a reservation, and you can get coaching, and you can get programming. And at the time we signed up with Pod Play, I'm not sure that was like, we're like, oh, that's pretty cool that you can do that, but we're a facility that has a bar and can't be open 24/7, right? So, but pretty neat. But then as we got player feedback and opening different things, we're like, oh, can you add more courts? Well, okay, how can you do that in a responsible way of delivering more courts without having to build all the infrastructure that we've built here at SPF? And so we started talking with the pod play team, understanding the tech platform and what real estate would work for doing a 24/7 autonomous type concept. And
you don't have staff on hand at the facility, not generally.
No, you don't have to.
Okay.
And that was one of the points, but now that we have this presence, this identity, we have coaches that people know, we have team members that people know, and just that's been the biggest blessing, just how many of our team members from the beginning are still with us and love this place. We want to kind of put a new take on autonomous. We want you to walk in there and still feel like it's an extension of Lincoln Park and all the good vibes that we bring here, there. So there will be a staffing, but it doesn't have to be staffed because you have controls in place in terms of court reservations and replay and just security where you don't need to have a staffing presence. But we want to be autonomous with a personality, I guess.
Are you thinking of this as a somewhat higher level of play?
I'm excited for what we can do on the training, on the development side there. I think the building's an interesting building in that it has a lot of training of other sports in it. It has volleyball, it has a gymnastics training, there was soccer and basketball training in there. And so I kind of like that training academy idea to this space. Sure, you can book it, you could even do events there, you could do all the things we do at SPF there, other than we won't have a bar on site, but it'll be a place where you can still play in leagues, we can still program leagues, open plays, all of those things. But I do like the idea of making that more of a development platform as well, and giving our coaches more room to program courts. So
this sounds awesome. So Rich, you mentioned earlier that original SPF is in your backyard. And then I just found out that new SPF all day is in my backyard. This is exciting. So Howard, if you get like a 2 a.m. text from me, like, hey, let's go dink, let's drill, you know, like where we're going, right?
Gina, I think
It's right in between our houses.
I think I'm probably more likely to be awake at 2 a.m. than you are. But
You're right. I go to bed at 8.
if there's a little tap on your window, and then if I see the cats, I'm going to tell them to go get you and wake you up and go play.
This is so fun. It's right in between us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a good spot. I'm excited.
It is fun. And there are other autonomous concepts out there. And, some of the things that you can do for your community, like we can't be open at midnight, but there are a lot of people who work hard in this city that are, getting off work at midnight or wanting, like our first responders, our police officers, and they've been able to do a lot of great like I've seen it in other facility programming, giving like people who literally, service our entire city, a place to play at hours that we can't hear. So like, there's really things about that platform that really excite me to expand our community. And, I think that's where personal motivation is tied, is like, how can we grow our community, how we can grow the game. And I think if you give more people an opportunity to play at the times that are convenient to them, you're going to help grow the game, and you're going to bring joy to people when,
Yeah, it just really makes sense. I mean, sometimes I think about, there's all that pickleball space that's not being used when something's closed and people want to play. And if you can figure out the technology and the solution to make it happen, that's amazing.
Yeah, we just got a request at another club that we stay open till like 11 or 12, like 12 a.m., like during this like high season of holidays coming up. And like with Sabbath on Saturday, they wanted to play like 9 to midnight on Saturday nights. And we're like, oh, that's tough. Like, I don't know where to send you, like what the options are. And now
you have you'll have a spot. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. So, Rich, what else do you have going on at SPF?
So, tied to kind of how important people who have come into like this space, and we talked about honey butter, and we talked about Kikwetu, and all. One of the first people to know what we were doing here at Lincoln Park was Chris Clark of Toss and Spin. My wife had started to take tennis lessons, and she had read that Chris did a big event at the United Center around pickleball. And she's like, you should reach out to him and just get his take on the business plan. So we set up a call. He's always been very accessible and, a great person, and said, hey, Chris, like, here's what we're thinking. What do you think? You're doing a lot of pickleball programming around the space. And similarly, he was like, I think you guys are onto something. Keep going. Hear this. And he's been a great programming partner. So Toss and Spin runs a lot of our classes here at Lincoln Park. Together, we have an opportunity to collaborate and bring pickleball courts to Hyde Park. So so Smithy are going to be adding at least 4 pickleball courts. I'll know the exact number here in a couple of days, but and 2 tennis. It's a really interesting. It's similar to what we did at the field house last winter. It's a multi-sport facility, so it has basketball, volleyball, turf fields. But it used to be a tennis facility, and so we are going to do that and bring indoor pickleball to the south side, because right now I think there's only probably one indoor dedicated to the padel concept. I think in Bridgeport might have like 1 court. So this will be the first dedicated pickleball courts in the south side of Chicago, which is awesome. We're really excited to work with Toss and Spin on that together. So.
That's amazing. Do you have rough timing on that?
So I think we should be around the same time. I think as 3,800. I think we'll be able to add those courts by the end of the year for sure. And it won't be autonomous, I don't think, right now. But yeah, it'll give us more place to play, and hopefully again grow the game, grow the accessibility so that people can discover this game that we love.
You guys are really like filling a gap down there, because I'm imagining that Southside folks are probably going down to Indiana to play.
Yeah, Hammond is a really and there's like a lot of like that Northwest Indiana for here. I mean, we do get players. I actually would say that was one of the the question I get asked the most is like, when are you going to open something on the south side? When are you going to open on the south side? So it is nice. And our grander vision is to really convert the space into something that is very similar to SPF, like a fixture of the community with like multiple outlets where you can come in and celebrate occasions of your life. Wow. We'll be able to get some courts open this winter and get people playing.
That's so cool, Rich. Do you have any time to rest or sleep? Or
No. Well, I'll see you at 2 a.m. at 3800. But
we're all going to be drilling.
Yeah, at SPF all day. But again, I'd probably a benefit of living so close to the facility. I save on some commute time.
But we're blended, right? It's a little work, a little home, a little play. Like that's amazing.
So I know you just opened up Honey Butter in your facility here. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so going back to, all those conversations, very early days that have to go right, where you're like, okay, can this happen? Can we get this open? When we had the site under control, my partner and I looked at each other and were like, what are we going to do about food? Like, because food is such an important part of communing, of building community, of having people just, spend time in your facility. And so I was like, well, what brands out there do I really like and who stand for that community and that feeling that we want to give? And so I called Josh Kolb, who I knew through one other person. He's a founder of Honey Butter Fried Chicken. And I was like, hey, so this is my idea. I kind of have this site under control, but I'm really looking for a food partner. Like, what do you think? I'm not sure if he remembers this, but he said, I just started playing with my rabbi. I'm in, like in kind of like in a jest way. And I remember hanging up the phone and like called my wife and I was like, I think Josh Kolb might be in, and I'm just such a big fan of them, who they are, and, what they've meant to the city. And so that was, call it June of 23. Yeah, so June of 23. And they helped us out, get the cafe open when we first opened, and we've just been kind of trying to understand different people's feedback on what would work within the space. And so 26 months later, we've now opened this concept that we, and we wanted to do it in a way that fit within the space. So I was like, okay, so let's make this a collaboration. Let's honey butter, but beachify it. Let's bring some like fun new items. So we have a lobster roll every Friday night, a honey butter lobster roll that is exceptional. I'm biased, but I'm coming for that. And then, they're doing fried, because at the restaurant, they've always wanted to do fried shrimp, but they didn't have the fryer space. So here we're doing the fried shrimp. So there's as well as the stuff that's tried and true that everyone loves, the chicken strips, the OG chicken sandwich and all of those things. But it's been really cool to kind of see that finally take shape, a couple of years after, that initial conversation. And I think it rounds out the space. That's something. We've never really been like a 4-wall completed project since we've been open. So since January 24, we've added this room that we're currently in. We added a ninth court. We added a bocce area. And then we always had the space in the back that we had hoped would become a restaurant one day. And so now that that's here, I'm not sure I'm breathing any easier, but like when I walk in, I'm like, okay, this is actually, somewhat of a completed product. And so that has been really exciting to see people come in here and like, there's not construction happening. We'll continue to evolve. We'll continue to like make the experience better for people, I'm sure. But
this is such a fun space. So I love how your origin story is playing into what we have here in Chicago. So there is this beach vibe. We can come here on the coldest day in January and kind of feel like maybe we're on a little bit of vacation. The experience is still very uniquely Chicago, which is hard to do. So like having the honey butter, having the coffee, that's here it's a great experience overall that I, would just highly recommend. I'm thinking back to about 2 years ago when we started hearing rumors there's a pickleball club coming. Like, do you remember that buzz, Howard? Like, there's Team Reach is kind of like people are talking, but like no one knows. Like, where was this information coming from? Do you remember?
I remember people talking about it. It seemed a little mysterious. Like no one was quite sure it was really going to happen. People really, as we talked about earlier, people really needed indoor spaces to play in the wintertime, but it almost seemed a little mysterious. Like, was this really going to happen? Was this mystical place actually going to come about? And then it did, and it's just being amazingly successful.
So I remember like my first time coming in and just seeing how nice it is. Something about it made me feel like, oh, pickleball is like a legitimate hobby. Part like, because it started on a wood floor, or I'm playing on tennis courts, but now I'm like, oh, we belong someplace. Like, and someone sees that. That was a big move, Rich. So thanks for getting the ball rolling with this.
Well, yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think it was time. It was, there was this movement. You could tell that it needed to happen. I mean, there are a lot of great clubs. I mean, one of the coolest things I think is happening in the community is how, the clubs are working together. We have this Chicago interclub pickleball league, indoor pickleball league, CIPL, that where we play the different clubs, and we've been able to get to know the different owners. And so, I mean, there are places that came before us, right? Like Victory, Sure Shot, Pickle House out in Algonquin, but we were all kind of like marching at the same time. And what's really interesting about that is you meet all the different club owners, and they all start from basically the same spot. They're sure origin stories are always going to be a little different, but the underlying passion is just to grow this game and bring people together. I think that's always the underlying passion. Now, the real estate, the location, the space, kind of, and everyone's brand voice or whatever it is, puts a unique spin on that. But there's that common thread that exists with all of us, which is really fun to explore and talk to and get to know all the club owners. So.
Yeah, I think, one of the reasons we like to ask about origin stories is I think it really ties into the notion of community. I think that's the through line that goes through almost everyone's story. Gina's story, my story. It's all about finding a group of people that, you like to hang out with, and you play, and you get some exercise, and you have fun, and it's really amazing.
Right. And and in the city especially, right? The clubs that are closer in, I think we are spreading that joy for people, and giving them an outlet where they can meet new people, right? You move to cities and there's lots of different things going on, and you have busy schedules. And so the ability to have a place that you can come to and meet new people at that point in time. So it's been very rewarding with that kind of, from that perspective of just the amount of relationships and you say these words and they kind of always it sound redundant, but meaningful. I'm positive that people's time. We have a player, I guess I'll name drop him, Alex Klein, right? He's from Tennessee. He's here for 2 years, but he's met his community here through pickleball, and he's playing all over the city and doing, and so that, that's just an example of someone who walked in here, who's going to be here for two years, and then just all of a sudden, has become a fabric of the pickleball community in Chicago because of SPF. And that's great, and we want to keep making that possible for people. That's really our underlying mission, I think, in a lot of ways. It's just, letting the people get that space to make meaningful connections in their lives around pickleball.
Pickleball is so special. You get taken aback by it.
Yeah, I told Gina I started playing with my son a little bit recently. It's because it's such an accessible sport. Mm-hmm. It would be hard to do that with something else, but he and I can go out and have fun and play together. It's fantastic.
Right. And there's very few sports like that, right? And how old's your son?
He's a senior in high school now.
Yeah. So, and so what's neat now is, my son, who's about to turn 12, is got a group of 3 buddies who they come in here every Monday and play together, and you have this community that largely embraces from 8 to 80. And, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
I was going to say, yesterday I gave a lesson to a woman. I think she's 79. And we're talking after, and she asked me, like, how does she get to that intermediate level? And I'm just like blown away that, like, one, you're out here, you're doing really well. Like, I love her timing, and she's contacting the ball super well. And when we're 80 and we're having these like fantastic like next goals for this sport, and it truly is for everyone. It's sometimes I get like taken aback by it. It is for everyone.
Very excited to find out about your new facility, and looking forward to seeing it open.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited to bring it to life.
I think Gina and I will be there for sure.
Yeah. Howard. When we're sneaking out at night, can't sleep. All right, let's go to SPF. Let's scan in.
Sometimes, Gina, we both awake at like 5 a.m. and we're texting each other like, we could go play.
Sometimes the same nights we're texting at midnight and 5 a.m. And I'm like, did either one of us say this? Now we have a place to go do that in real life.
Rich, we'd love to pick your brain a little bit about some topics that I've heard people talk about. So this issue of having DUPA restricted play, and I've heard both sides of it. I mean, people who obviously do want leveled play because that can make a lot of sense in different situations, and then some people who feel like they're gated out of specific DUPA restricted events. How do you look at that, and how do you kind of make that trade-off?
As a club owner, I think this is something that we all think about and talk about. And it's largely because if you're going to build a pickleball facility, one of the things that you're hoping is that people will come here because they can get a good game and they know they're going to get a good game at a certain time. So you have DUPA and other rating systems that can be helpful in that, right? And so we have done a lot to try to add players into the DUPA system with the goal of it will ultimately get people better games.
Yeah.
At the same time, as people get way too fixated on a DUPA score, maybe too early before they're ready for a DUPA score, before they're just actually understand the basics, and then they're in a hole where they're working their way up from a 2-1 or in a very low number, which I think for some people, I guess my advice is play for 3 to 5 months and have a great time playing with people that you enjoy playing with. Take a couple of lessons and then get into it. I think too early on, people jump in and then they're just not ready for it. And it takes the fun out of the game to some degree, and that discovery period of the game that so many people go through and that we all go through. And then the other thing I would say on the player side is, because we do both, and we've always tried to do as much DUPA as what I'll say the market allows, but it is more of a limited pool of players, right? So that have a DUPA score, right? You're not always able to get 5 people, 4 people at 1 p.m. on a Monday to show up and play. And so that kind of, so we've tried to do a hybrid. We've learned a lot of lessons, and still always, and that's as the sport grows and matures, it'll look different tomorrow or 2 months from now than it looks today. But find that hybrid between, okay, here's suggested level play time versus skill verified play time. And
have you shifted more towards one or the other over time, or?
We definitely have done. We're definitely more DUPA than when we first opened. We didn't even have DUPA when we first opened. And we kind of were like, I think it was 2 months in, we just did like DUPA drop-in play. If you had a DUPA score, which is important to establishing good scores, come out and play for free so other people can play. But then there's also, I might be hurting my DUPA score and things like that. So there are a lot of more tensions, I would say, that you build into the process. But it's no doubt a great tool. I think players just need to take their time with it. Don't overvalue it. Don't play too many DUPA matches early in your career that, before you actually understand that game.
Yeah.
You need to understand, and not just the rules of the game, the strategy and and the type.
Yeah, I don't think I felt like I understood basic strategy like my first full year. I was just hanging back too much, and I wasn't winning much. So thank God I wasn't doing duper then. But yeah, it really like let yourself like get immersed into the sport, watch the pros, understand like at least the movements that they're making, and like because going right into duper, I could see where I'd be like, no, forget it, I'm dropping this sport.
Exactly, and I don't think and I think that's when we're not doing the pickleball ecosystem like a service, right? When we and when we are a place where a lot of beginners come, this is our discovery spot. Like I want duper. I don't want them to be like, oh, I need a duper score. We try to like temper the excitement around that, Duper's doing a lot of great things too, like to get you to do like coach provisionals and things like that, so that like do solve some of those pain points that we're talking about getting a duper score too early. We do those every week.
I saw on the schedule this morning.
One other question, Rich. So, this issue of having disputes between players, sometimes people disagree. Sometimes there's, a guy, and it's often a guy, I'll just say, who's kind of a bit of a jerk or difficult to everyone else on the court. How do you manage that as a club?
Yeah, I think at one point we talked a little bit about how the game is changing and becoming more competitive, and I think we'll continue. That to me has, probably would have been my answer to one of your earlier questions. Been one of the bigger surprises about getting into the business, because my experience has been so much. And even though I think at one point I said I was a hyper competitive young person, I'm not that way so much as an adult. And I think we have had, I think there's a few ways. First, you try to set the tone with your brand, with how you welcome people into your door. We aren't that place that anyone should feel like they're going to get intimidated or harassed or feel unsecure on the court. And like everything that we do from a branding perspective, a team training perspective, hopefully we aren't creating an environment where that is going to occur more often than anywhere else. And I think that is of utmost importance to me, because I want people to come in here and have that this is awesome feeling that I had that first time I discovered the sport. How at the same time, like how do you do it? Like we, just to be quite frank, when we first opened, we didn't have a response plan. We just weren't expecting it. And then it started to happen. There are times where like that exact situation like kind of forms. And
so Gina's body bagging me. I need some place to complain to.
Howard, maybe don't set me up for the shot.
Yeah, the body bagging, we're not going to come hard on you. It's more that temper, and so, how you train your team to like get to understand the situation, hear both sides of the story, de-escalate the situation. Yeah. And that has become, more important than in the business than I kind of anticipated kind of going in. But yeah, I think largely people are here to enjoy themselves and have a good time. And yeah, everyone's competitive instincts can get the best of them. And that's the other thing. You recognize that everyone's human. They have their moments. We do that a lot as a team. It's like, how are you doing today? Like, and understand and quantify that. Like, sometimes people just are, we live in a world where there are a lot of stress. There's always stresses and different things, and people are coming here for a release and to like escape to some degree to the beachy kind of vibes of this place. And we want to make sure we're creating that escape, that joyful escape. And yeah, I think the more we can lead there, it de-escalates it to some degree.
So SPF stands for Social Pickleball Fun, right? Is that right? Or is that was like part of the branding?
So that's a great question. It stands for nothing.
Okay.
But the first time I gave that answer, I think my media person at the time was like, no, You have to say it stands for Social Pickleball Fun. But it really was and I think I joked, the hitting co-founder, my wife, like it was her idea to name it that because it could stand for a lot of different places. So a lot of different things. It could be social play fun, sports, pickleball, food, whatever. Make it your own. I think I quoted Willy Wonka and someone was like, that's weird. Don't do that ever again. So, but obviously the three tenets of what we are doing here are letting people have a social outlet, play pickleball, and have a lot of fun doing it. And so Social Pickleball Fun seems to be sticking. But the origin story of SPF, it means nothing. It's about it's about finding that escape where you can be yourself, socialize, have fun.
I guess that's all to say is like you guys are setting the tone. And so if you're coming here with a lot of baggage and you're pissed off about stuff, leave that at home, guys.
Yeah.
We're trying to have fun here.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Rich. We really appreciate it.
I really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's very cool.
So, Gina, that was such a fun and interesting interview.
A lot of fun. Thank you so much to SPF for hosting us and Rich for talking with us. Loved hearing about the origin story and everything that they have in the works right now.
Yeah, I'm thrilled about the new facility, the one at 3800 North Milwaukee, it's really close to both of us. It's kind of between us. It's extremely close to you.
Yeah, when he broke the news, I had to get the map out and show him, oh, here's my house, and about 2 feet away is this facility. So it's exciting for me. I'm looking forward to it. But Howard, we forgot to play air hockey at SPF, so we do need to go back.
All right, we'll do that.
Thank you.
And I do like the idea of this this sort of 24-hour facility where you can go pretty much anytime you want. That just expands so many options for people who might want to play outside of regular hours.
Yeah, total game changer. I'm excited. It'll be a fun rollout this fall.
Yeah, that could be us, Gina.
It will be us.
Okay. Middle of the night. I know. Anyway, as you said, thanks so much to Rich. He was so generous with his time and also for letting us use SPF for the interview with Vivian, which worked out great for us.
Thank you.
Gina, Coach's Corner, what do you have for us this week?
Howard, thanks for asking. What's been on my mind lately is my Learn to Play sessions. I've gotten quite a few under my belt just in the last couple of weeks, and I just wanted to share a little bit about it. It's really, really fun to be part of someone's first time playing pickleball. So a Learn to Play session is typically an hour long. The RPO method is we do inside out teaching, and so we get to dinking pretty immediately after we just go to sort of explain the court layout, go over some few basics, maybe some safety precautions, but we'll get to dinking right away. And it's really fun because you can't really dink and not have a smile on your face, and so you get to see that joy of people playing a sport for maybe the first time in a long time, maybe the first time ever. Maybe they're coming back from something. So it's been just really fun for me to have quite a few of these lately. So in the hour session, we'll start with dinking. We'll do a little bit of ground strokes. We'll learn the serve. We'll learn all those basic rules like the kitchen, the 2-bounce rule, the mechanics, and doing an underhand serve and try to get some points going. But what I always stress in our sessions is don't even worry about the score. It's not worth it right now. The score kept me from joining the game, and I try to let people know, just don't worry. Someone's going to know it. Give yourself a couple weeks of going to some open plays and having some fun. Let the people know that, hey, I'm new. Can you help me keep score? And I think almost everyone is super kind and is going to help you out, right? So
I feel like the score, you'll pick it up just by playing games over time. Mm-hmm. And it's not really, it's slightly unusual, but it's not really that complicated. And as long as there's someone on court who can keep score, you'll figure it out after maybe a couple of sessions, I think.
Exactly. So we might try to get into the formations, but if we're not calling all three numbers, it's definitely not something that we'll worry about. We'll look at the YouTubes and just getting on court is number one. So taking that first step, it's just like really a joy for me to be part of is other people's origin stories, I guess. So
yeah, that's great. These are kind of true beginners who are having their first pickle experience on the court.
Yeah, typically it'll be brand new, have never held a paddle. Maybe they don't have one yet, and I'm providing some. Other people maybe they've like played like 4 years ago, and then they're coming back. But typically it'll be brand new. They wanna learn the right way and build good habits right away, which is an awesome start.
That's fantastic. So if you want to contact Gina for some coaching, including if you're just a complete beginner, you can contact her at gtpicklecoach@gmail.com. That address and other notes and links will be in the show notes for this episode. I'm a carbon ambassador, paddle ambassador, as I've talked about before. I've had this new TruFoam Waves paddle for about a week now. As of this recording, it's going to be released by the time you hear this episode. I'm happy with the paddle. I really have no reservations about it at this point. It's appreciably more powerful than the TruFoam Genesis that came out at the beginning of the year. And just for kicks, I actually went back and tried a couple of the older paddles I had, and the newer paddles are just so much nicer, not just in terms of power, but in terms of touch and feel on the paddles. It's really been a big shift over time. And I really do like the hybrid shape. I have the 4 model in the carbons, which is a hybrid that's closer to the square model, and it feels pretty fast in the hand. Like it's got a low swing weight, I believe, and at the kitchen you can definitely feel like it's a little faster in the hand, and I need all the help I can get on that front. So there'll be a link in the show notes, but the discount code for 10% off is CRBN10, CRBN10. So check it out if you have an interest in a new paddle. As always, we welcome questions and comments at thirdshotrants@gmail.com. We really will do a listener feedback episode pretty soon. So please keep those coming, and we'll collect those and do some feedback at some point soon. Please rate us and please follow us on your podcast app of choice. And as always, we're open for offers for advertising and if companies want to send us stuff to review. Gina, what's our after show this week? This is the precursor to the after show because we don't have proper music to lead us into the after show.
Monday. All right, Howard. We have this ongoing conversation that you believe that you can beat me at all bar games, and I just don't think it's true. So one day we'll get out there and figure out who the champ is.
Many bar games, Gina. I don't know if I said all bar games that what we're actually going to play is a recording. When Gina and I were doing some test recordings for the podcast, just kind of testing out equipment and so on. We were just kind of chatting as we do, and we got on to the topic of how we would do head-to-head in bar games. And so this is from the archives. It's just us randomly talking on, Wednesday afternoon or something, and you'll hear it and hopefully enjoy it.
I definitely want comments on who you think will win at each bar game.
Yeah. I would say, if we get a merch shop up, Gina, when's the merch coming?
It's in the works, Howard.
I don't necessarily want that to be a recurring bit, Gina, but maybe everyone who buys a T-shirt can come and watch our bar game Olympics.
Love that.
Okay, here's the clip. How are you?
At ping pong?
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm... Yeah, I think you would beat me handily. I would like to test it out. I don't know that my timing's great. I don't know that I am able to manipulate the ball that well.
Did you have a table when you were a kid?
I did at some point. So I do remember playing as a kid.
Okay.
But not a ton. I think it was something you put over a pool table. We had a little bit of bowls. I mean, I like bar games in general. Like, I think I would smoke you in darts, if I'm being honest.
Oh,
Are you good at darts?
Gina,
Oh.
we're on. We're so on.
Okay, so that's happening soon.
Where's the good dart board? If I don't go to Michigan, then
Yeah.
you're busy today.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm pretty open after.
All right, find us a quality dart board somewhere, and this is happening.
I've gone to Surge. I don't know that it's quality. It's like a little pricey for me, but I'd rather find like I'll think on it. I'll Google it.
I would remind you where I grew up.
Oh, okay. So did you grow up eating fish and chips and playing darts in the pubs?
We had none of the pubs, but fish and chips, and I had a dartboard in the house, and I had favorite darts players when I was a kid.
Oh, okay, that's intense. I do have some dartboards in the basement. We could set them up in the backyard or something, but
Okay, it's got to be regulation.
take a look, see.
Yeah. Darts is like a little variable in terms well, maybe I don't know if it is. We'll see. But even given what you said, I'm really pretty confident that I would triumph.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do pool darts and maybe something else.
So we're doing our own bar Olympics, right? I don't drink, but I'll get my athletic brew and we will have ourselves a dandy old time at the bar.
I'm so excited that you think you can beat me in darts.
Oh, yeah.
Like that makes my day.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's no fun beating people that, you should beat.
Yeah, right? Like, we have to talk a little shit. I honestly, this is embarrassing, but after I play darts, I have to ice my shoulder because it's so much rotator combo, that motion.
What? No.
It's just like that back on my shoulder. It just.
So you're not moving your shoulder, right?
No, it's
Okay.
really, it's not. I don't know if it's just holding it. Maybe I'm stronger now, but a few years ago, I would be sore the next day. I'm sore after air hockey, which I think I could beat you in as well.
I'm less confident, but I definitely would favor myself in air hockey.
Okay. I mean, we could go to Emporium and get a game in. I like some air hockey. I do get sore from that for sure. I can't play pickleball the next day.
I'm confident I can beat you in darts and pool. Also foosball, if you play foosball.
I'm not good at foosball,
Okay.
so I do agree that you would beat me. But
I played a lot of foosball in college.
Yeah, it's you really have to be really quick, have good anticipation of where that ball's going, and just quick reactions, which I guess is all pickleball skills. I just can't quite get it for foosball.
Well, foosball, people who really play, being able to hit, hit specific shots. You have to practice a lot. You can't do it just.
You have to wait.
You have to practice a lot.
Okay.
Being able to hit, I don't know if it'll mean anything to you, but push and pull shots where you set up a ball with a guy, and it's more or less a set position shot.
Mm-hmm.
That. I don't think there's any way someone could pick that up just by kind of playing in casual games. But if you have access to a table and you really have to practice those specific skills.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Any other bar games? Can't really think of anything else that I play.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
I do have a challenge with Susie at whatever it's called, bags.
Oh yeah, I'm very good at bags.
Okay, I've played almost no bags in my life because I did not grow up in Chicago, and I don't really hang out in Chicago in places where people play. I do feel like I could beat either of you.
Yeah, let's explore that. So I was warming up for a game at Christmas in July, and I nailed 3 in a row, just my warm up stroke. So
okay,
I'm pretty good. Like, I think I could be like winning money doing that on the side, like something I should explore as a hustle. I'm pretty good at bags.
Okay, I'm willing to say that I could lose in that.
Let's just test it out. Or what if I'm off? What if I'm talking a big game, you know?
Yeah, I played bags maybe 4 or 5 times in my life, so the camping trip, which is where I learned pickleball from Chris Sears, there was also bags. And I was, with this is a dad's camping trip full of Chicago dads. I didn't win all my games, but I won certainly more than half my games.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Against people who seemed like they played. But I also didn't get 3 in a row, so I'm willing to be a little humble.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, we play at every family party. We get the bags out, so it is ingrained in our blood here.
Yeah.